Alright, the Apple September event went on this week and they have announced a whole bunch of new products like Apple 14 series, new Apple Watches and Airpods Pro 2. So let's talk about it. But first up, let's see the watches. Now Apple has launched 3 new Apple Watches this year, the Apple Watch SE, the Apple Watch Series 8 and the Apple Watch Ultra. Now all the watches have the new S8 chip, but SE misses SpO2 sensor, ECG and always on display. And also it misses out the new temperature sensor that the Apple Watch Series 8 and Ultra has. Now the Series 8 is pretty much similar to the outgoing Series 7 model with minor improvements. Apple Watch Ultra is Apple's new watch category for extreme sports. It has a flat display with edge protection, it has a dual frequency GPS, more mics and speakers. It has an extra customizable button over to the left side, so you can do pretty much anything with that. Now this is not a regular watch and it is seriously not meant for everybody. Also the watches have the crash detection system, including the new iPhones. There are a series of hardware like gyroscope, accelerometer, etc. So if someone had a car crash or an accident, the Apple Watch and iPhones can identify it. It works with a combination of a series of instances like A, mic picking up a large sound, B, accelerometer detecting some ups and downs, and C, barometer detecting change in air pressure. And if all that thing happens, this watch will think that there is some sort of accident, and then it will contact emergency services if the user didn't respond quickly. Okay, now to the AirPods Pro 2. It has the new H2 chip which cancels twice as much noise, and it got that touch sensitive stem so you can control music, volume, etc. It has a new set of drivers, a better battery life, and among all that stuff, the interesting aspect is now you can identify your AirPods case with your phone. Yes, the AirPods case has a speaker in it. It also has location service like GPS, like what you have seen on AirTags. So if you lose that case, it's now a lot easier to find it with the Find My app. Okay, now let's talk about the phones. Now the new iPhones looks pretty much similar to the last year's. There are a lot of cool features kind of tucked in it. First of all, there are 4 models of iPhone 14s this year. The iPhone 14, the 14 Plus, the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max. So what are the differences? First of all, there is no mini series, and the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro is pretty similar, except the 14 Plus is bigger than the other. So the regular iPhone is 6.1 inch and the 14 Plus is 6.7 inch respectively. They have the same chipset, the A15 Bionic that you have seen on last year's iPhone, and the camera placement also looks the same in that diagonal orientation, but the main camera has been upgraded. It has a new sensor, it's got a bigger aperture, and the shots go through a new image processing pipeline called photonic engine, which is supposed to increase the overall image quality. It also has an action mode, which is super impressive stabilization mode, and this is crazy and it looks fantastic. Now for all the hikers out there, in addition to that Apple Watch Ultra, if you ever lost your way, Apple got your back. Yes, the new iPhone series has an emergency SOS feature. So this is a feature that allows these new iPhones to communicate with the satellite in case of an emergency. So if you're in a kind of situation, you got no cell signals, but you want to communicate with someone, you can connect with a low orbiting satellite by following the instruction. And this thing will work only in US right now. This is something we would never use, hopefully, but it is a good feature to have. I think Apple really wants us to get out. Okay, over to the Pro models. And the first thing, you all have probably known this by now, the dynamic island. So on the Pro models, instead of a notch, it has a pill-shaped cutout. It is not just an aesthetic improvement. It doesn't just sit there and stares at your face all the time. Apple actually found a way to make it interactive by adding some software features to enhance the experience and not just make it an eyesore. You might be playing a music or running a timer. You're gonna see that pill, or in Apple's words, the dynamic island expands and shows you the relevant info even if you are in another app. Also, you can press the pill cutout to get an expanded view of the task. The only nitpicking problem that I kind of sense is that the selfie cameras up front will get lot more fingerprint smudges since we interact in that area a lot. Now, the Pro models comes with the new Apple Silicon, the A16 Bionic, and this is going to be significantly faster than the others. Okay, the iPhone 14 Pro cameras. The main sensor is a 48 megapixel sensor. Can you believe it? Now 48 megapixels aren't anything new on the smartphone market. Android had them years ago, but the thing is, iPhones have had 12 megapixels for years. The Pro models also have the action mode, which I mentioned earlier. It also have that photonic engine. We all know that Apple cameras are better, and this iPhone will definitely change the game. Finally, this iPhone has the always on feature, which we all are waiting for a long period of time. Now the always on is not an all black screen, which we generally used to see on many Android phones, but it is a nice feature to have. One thing that Apple introduced on last year's Pro model is the ProMotion display, which can scale up to 120 Hz when you're using it and scales down to 10 Hz while on static. But on this year, Apple scaled it down to 1 Hz, thus improving the battery and paving a way for the always on display. One thing to keep in mind is that there is no SIM slot on these newer iPhones, which means yes, you can't put a physical SIM in it. But don't worry, it has the eSIM support. But if you are a kind of person who swaps mobiles regularly, it might be a problem for you. Okay, that's a lot about iPhone 14. But one thing to note is that all the cool and new features that Apple made are primarily for the Pro models. If you take iPhones from previous years, all the models that they release have the same chipset, even if it's a Pro or a Mini. That trend is gone now. This is primarily because of two reasons. One, chip shortage, and two, they want to set a difference between the Pro and the non-Pro. What do you guys think about this? Do let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and please make sure to subscribe to this channel. I will definitely catch you in the next one. Bye.